Welcome back to day 26 of How to Fix the World in 80 Days, and today we're talking about a universal language. Imagine a world where everyone spoke the same language. I mean, come on, how much easier would it be? But that's not to say that that wouldn't come without challenges. So when it comes to a universal language, is it really worth it? Well, let me put it this way. Here's what we wouldn't have to worry about anymore. Asking for help in foreign countries, paying for translators at work, reading strange labels on products, better diplomatic relations, and quite honestly, many more scenarios where speaking a different language can become a problem. More than anything though, we wouldn't have this issue of language hanging over our heads that has been dividing us for thousands of years. I mean, who wouldn't want that? These are all personal issues that I've been through, and I'm sure many of you have as well. Now, the real question though is, what are we sacrificing to get there? And the honest answer is, probably not that much. Learning a new language isn't easy, but communication is key for any relationship. I'd argue that with a universal language, a lot of the problems we face around the world could be more easily solved. More than ever before, we have tools available at our disposal to facilitate that communication. And that's not to say that with a new universal language, there would not be new challenges. But I'm here to help smooth some of those over. First of all, what language would we choose? I mean, internationally, we can barely agree on what year it is. So you think we can actually make this momentous decision like what the universal language should be? Yes, I do, because we're kind of doing it anyway. Mandarin is the most common spoken language in the world, with well over 1 billion people, but most of those people live in China. English, however, is quickly becoming a truly global language. I say that not just because it's my native tongue, but because I can go to pretty much any country in the world and I can get a job teaching English. It's an extremely valuable commodity. In fact, while Mandarin might be the most spoken language, English is the most common second language, with over 750 million people choosing it to be their second language. For comparison's sake, Hindu is second with like 350 million people, and most of those people live in India. Does the universal language have to be English? No. But if we are looking for trends on how a universal language might play out, there's your example. Secondly, if there is a universal language, will I have to give up my own? In short, no. In no way does having a universal language mean that you must give up your own. I come from Quebec, where language and culture are so important that they almost made us leave Canada. Yes, Canada. So I understand that people will fight for language with their last dying breath. It's also a great example of why 2 languages make you stronger, not worse. Now you might be thinking, whoa, didn't you just say that multiple languages almost made you leave Canada? How can that possibly be a good thing? Well, independence vote aside, there's not really anywhere in the world I'd rather live than right here in Quebec, and especially in Montreal. I'm extremely grateful that my past has allowed me to become pretty much perfectly bilingual, and when I walk down the street, I hear people talking English and French and Franglais, and nobody really cares. I mean, there's a few people that take it way too seriously, but every good cake has a few broken eggs. In general, our ability to speak multiple languages makes us stronger, and a universal language will make that even stronger. And there's nothing that says you have to give up your culture to do so. As I finish these arguments for a universal language, I can't help but think back on all the isolated languages that have gone dead throughout history, and what a tragic loss it is for our knowledge. I can't help but think about how otherworldly it must be for an explorer to show up on an unknown part of land and have their first true meeting with a native species. Somehow, despite our violent past, we were able to make it work. I'm always amazed at our ability to communicate, either verbally or non-verbally, but we've reached a point in time, in technology, and in global reach where we do not need to struggle like our people have in the past. I think it's time that we finally start working towards a truly universal language. That, or we can just build an app on our phone that translates everything for us. Whichever one is easier, I guess. What do you say?